Thank you for joining me. Welcome to Questions and Reason. I'm your boy, the R. It's the R, baby. It's the R, my G. Your host, of course, Manaka Anthony Raphasha. So I guess we're not fully back, right? Because last time I dropped the videos 2 weeks ago. I'm sorry, guys. But I promise we're gonna be dropping video after video after video in May. Okay, I was just too occupied with other things. Yeah. So I got a complaint on my last video last time that I cut videos short. I guess people just want me to talk and talk, and they will vote with their data on where they stop, right? But I personally find those kind of videos exhausting. But because that's the demand, I'll try to do that. I guess that's the new wave. People just want to watch videos for 2 hours, for 4 hours, for a whole hour, and yeah, and that's what they want to do. So we'll give people what they want, right? Okay, let's get into it. Today I want to talk about personal conflict. Let me see if my pen is working. All right, seems to be working. Seems to be working. All right, let's get into it. So today I want to talk about personal conflicts. Personal conflicts. Right? Let's take those notes. So this is part one of personal conflicts, and in part one, I wanna talk about ego conflicts, collision of egos, oh, of egos, right? I mean, in life, we run into amazing people, but we end up not being able to be with them or around them or having a fruitation relationship because of egos. And I made it a point to study egos and try as much as I can to mitigate personal conflicts as much as I can, depending on if the person is willing or not. Because some people are not willing, right? We we don't reflect on ourselves enough to be able to notice when our ego is in the way of a good thing. And some people say, no, I was in a toxic environment, I was in a toxic relationship, I was in a toxic this, but it was their ego at the end of the day, right? So we need to make a huge distinction between being in an environment that is toxic and you not doing enough inner work to be able to reflect when your ego is getting in the way, right? Well, sometimes people are bruised so much that they don't want to put in any effort. But yeah, let me try and get a Google definition of what an ego is before I get into it. All right. So I just wanna ego meaning, right? Bring it to the screen. All right. So what does Google say? Definition of an ego: an inflated feeling of pride in your superiority to others. Okay. Well, that's what that feed says, but yeah, we'll get into it so you can deeply understand it. I really don't think ego is just superiority over others. I think the biggest issue is Self-worth. You hear people talking about self-worth. Self-worth, self-image, right? Confidence. I feel like the Google definition is very negative, and if we approach it in a negative way, we won't be able to get to the bottom of what we want to discuss, right? So every single person has a certain perception about themselves, and the more confidence they grow, the more they find self-worth, the more the ego grows, and they run into other people who find it very difficult to see those people the way that the people themselves see themselves, right? So that's where collision starts. So your ego in this context will be this: self-worth, self-image, self-confidence. We're not going with the Google definition. As much as I love Google, Google is dope. Yeah, in this context, we're talking about self-worth, we're talking about self-image, we're talking about confidence. These things can be very positive, like when you get to understand your self-worth, when you get to build a certain image about yourself, and when you get to build a high level of confidence that you are able to achieve so many things. It's beautiful, but these things grow, and other people might not perceive you as you perceive yourself, right? So that's the point. Other people may not perceive you as you perceive yourself. So the perceptions are not aligning perceptions. Perceptions, right? I'm gonna tell a story of Lot and Abram. So Lot and Abraham stuck together for the longest time. They are related, and they built each other so immensely that they were they were awesome, right? Everyone had his own wealth, and the wealth was so immense that they were in each other's way. There were a conflict arised from that. So because of this, their relationship, they decided to preserve the relationship by splitting. By splitting. So the self-image of Lot, Abraham was always the wealthiest, but when Lot left with his uncles, Abram, he I guess he learned from him, and he grew an immense wealth, right? So now self-worth, self-image, confidence is high up the roof, right? And they caught it very quickly. They're like, yo man, this is gonna ruin our relationship, this is gonna damage us. What should we do? Let's split. Because Abraham was didn't see himself superior to Lot, even though he was so in wealth and in influence and stuff like that. He decides, I mean, he doesn't decide, he tells Lot to say, listen, I'm gonna put my ego aside, and you choose where you want. If you choose to go east, I'll go west. If you choose to go north, I'll go south. So be the first one to pick where you wanna go. So, right there and then, Abraham understood that this is an issue of the ego. So, I'm going to put my ego aside and let you do your thing, right? So, Lord looked around and saw the green pastures somewhere, and like, I'm going to take the green pastures. Like, okay, fine, do your thing. We'll see where we go. So this preserved their relationship. Their relationship stayed healthy to a point where when Lot got in trouble, Abraham went and helped him. He got his army and then he went and fought against the enemies of Lot. He didn't say, yeah, but that guy, I told him not to go there. Now he's there and he's in trouble and he needs my help. Because that is the reasoning that most people do, right? They'll be like, yeah, well, he thought he's better than me, so I wanna show him that he's really not better than me. So he set aside ego still, right? And recruited his army, went and fought against kings, right? Abraham fought against kings. You must understand that this took a personal risk of losing people who are dear to you, who are your soldiers, or maybe even worse, losing your own life because he went in himself as well to lead the army. You are fighting established nations for this man who couldn't stay around you because your self image, your self worth, your self confidence was up the roof. And yeah, you're taking your own resources to ensure that he's all right. Imagine that. So we see Abram still being the bigger person and going and fighting against kings to rescue Lot from the danger that he's in without condemning him, without saying, hey, you should have sticked around, hey, this, hey, that, because that's what people do, right? They don't understand that we expand, that we learn and we grow, and sometimes the best thing for us is to split, right? Sometimes that's the best way. It's not that people are toxic, it's not that the environment is toxic. We are just too great to be around each other, right? Because we're going to end up being in a situation where people are comparing us. Competition is, I hear people saying it's healthy, but for people who have been together for a while, it can damage their relationship. You are building an environment of suspicion, mistrust. In such an environment, you can never build a meaningful relationship. So, no meaningful relationship. If you are in the business of building meaningful relationships, healthy relationships, competition can be a huge thing, right? It can deter you. Look at people in a work environment, how competitive a work environment is. I mean, it should be competitive because, people build their skills and stuff like that. But we must also be careful that it doesn't create an environment where someone is not someone's self-worth is not recognized. We cannot empathize, we cannot try to understand their perceptions. We don't value them. Actually, you don't value their self-worth because there's someone else there who you seem to like. And it happens a lot where even great ideas, let me write it down, great ideas are not taken. They are overlooked. I think that's the word I'm looking for. Great ideas are overlooked because you prefer someone in the competition over another. And this leads to an unproductive environment. People are no longer productive. People are no longer giving their all because the way they see themselves is not the way that you see them. And I've been in an environment like that where I've met people who are so dope, but because they are not seen, because they are not valued, because their perception is not taken, it is always overlooked, they stop giving their all. But you can sit down with this person and see that, whoa, man, this guy is incredible. These people are sleeping on this person for real, man. And it's unfortunate. It takes wisdom to be able to perceive people's worth, not just see it, but be able to put it where it can be most productive, and also build a culture or environment where such a person can thrive. And thus the responsibility of the leadership in wherever, in a family, in a workplace, wherever. So it takes wisdom. But like I said, I've seen people that I know very well that these guys are great, but they cannot, they don't do much output because of the environment they find themselves in. Their egos are ruined. Egos are damaged. Damaged egos. A damaged ego can ruin a person's career. Ruin a person's career. It can ruin relationships, right? We see a whole lot of families are not on talking terms, fighting over inheritance, fighting. And if you look at it, it's not really about the inheritance. It's just that they have a self-worth. They have an image about themselves that I deserve 1, 2, 3, 4. But you'll find that their parent is not perceiving that, right? And in their passing, they have a will that says, no, my firstborn must get more than the lastborn, or my lastborn must get more than the firstborn. Then the firstborn, even when they don't need the inheritance, look at the situation like, wait, so I'm not really valued here. And you can see that it is a sense of value. And then this creates animosity. In the family. Now we can no longer be a good family over what? Because a parent couldn't perceive the value of someone, right? Or because a leader couldn't perceive in a workplace or in different structures, they couldn't perceive the worth, people's worth. So it is the responsibility of a leader to perceive people's worth so that they can get a meaningful contribution out of people. People stop contributing. Why? Because they're damaged. Because their self-worth and where they are is what does not meet. So it's either they stick there and be unproductive, or they go away and look for a place where somebody can recognize their value, their perceptions can be accepted. All right. So yeah, I think I'm ending it nicely today, right? Yeah. So I wanted to talk about what we can do to improve. Be empathize with people. Be a communicator that doesn't hold a perception, because some people will ask you a question just so they can, you know, assert their perception on it. So it's a trap question. They'll ask you a question about something only because they want to assert something else, and then you end up fighting, not because of what's happening or because of the misunderstanding there, but because they have so many unresolved issues, or they have so many issues against you that they are not matured enough to be able to address it as is. But then they will address the issues that they have in other situations. And I'm not sure if I'm making sense. So let me do this. I'm just gonna draw situation one. This is A, situation A. This is situation B. This is situation C, right? Okay. So, one event, you do something, someone takes offense. Right? They are offended, but they don't tell you that they are offended. Right? Maybe you do something that they don't like, whether it's good or not. Sometimes people don't like good things, right? You do something that they take offense still. Right? They don't address it, they don't tell you. And then you find yourself in a position where you made a minor mistake. Or no, it's not even a mistake. They just found a loophole that they can now address the issue. They find that no, this person doesn't have a strong standing here, so they come and address issues indirectly. But the issues are not arising from this, they're arising from the past events. Then you end up not understanding, wait, why did we fight? I don't get it, right? But yeah, we need therapy. We need to be doing inner work so that whatever it is that bothers us, we are not these people. Don't be that person. Don't be this person who wanna vent out previous griefs that you have in a situation that is not even related, and you end up we're not finding an agreement because you don't put these things on the table. Wait, I have an issue with you because you refused me 1, 2, 3, 4. I have an issue with you here because You decided you don't want to work with me on 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And then you get here, that's where they want to address these issues, and they're not even putting them on the table. They just make a big deal out of this. We need to be people who, when you have a conflict with somebody, if you are not brave enough to address it, sit down and deal with it. Take it out of your system, flush it out. Flush it out. So we're flushing it out. We're flushing this out. You flush A out. You run into another issue. But I believe in addressing more than anything. Confrontation is everything. But your confrontation must not come from previous issues. It must come from the right issues so that we can know what is it that we are fighting over? What is it that we are bitter about? What is it that made our day, that ruined our day or something, right? But there are people like that, and once you know them, once you see that, okay, this is just a personality. There are people. Let's talk about personalities, right? Clash of personalities. Okay, so sometimes you have a strong personality. Let me say not strong, but assertive. Okay, I don't think strong is the right word. Assertive. You have an assertive personality and somebody who's reserved, and a reserved personality. Normally, these two will there will be a conflict, right? Because this person's perceptions about life and this person's perception about life is not the same. And right there on their character, these personalities will clash. Maybe because this guy is reserved, he's not gonna say it, but there will be a clash. What I'm saying is we need to be so aware of ourselves, self-awareness, and so aware of our environment. Of the environment. That we see now when ego is coming into play to say, oh no, now we're no longer fighting about this issue. There's an underlying issue that is not being addressed, right? And it's very important to do that. Some people have issues that is not even against you, right? So they've been collecting all these baggages. This is a person who is some stick figure. This is a person who is burdened. This is what this person's father did to him. This is what colleagues did to him. This is some event that just went bad, not the way he expected. And then he runs into you, right? He runs into you. You're having the time of your life. It's important to deal with these bags. He runs into you and then he just want to transfer all these issues onto you. And if you don't pick them up, this is going to be you. So he's just going to throw them on you, and then you're going to run with his bags now. You are having his father's bag, his colleagues' bags, and that event that didn't go the way that he wanted. Now you are the one carrying these things. this is you after meeting this guy who cannot be able to deal with issues in life. So you need to be a person who is smart enough to understand that people are burdened. People are going through things that they don't want to share, that they don't feel safe sharing, because there is no safe space. Honestly, to find a safe space to be able to express and share what's burdening you is the chances are very slight. Why? Because you wanna tell your friend, yo, I'm going through this, and what happens? They wanna feel joyous about your issues because they have issues, and then they go tell their friends, I thought I was going through the most. This guy, you don't know this guy. Then they laugh about it, and he tells another person, and and that's what comedy is, and that's what most of the content that we see online is people who are unable to deal with their issues, so they laugh about other people's issues to feel good about themselves, right? So we have a big problem in this generation, and it's not being addressed. It's the norm. It's normal. So you need to be able to be wise enough to pick up. You see, Abraham was wise, bro. Like, I respect Abraham. So you perceive immediately that this person maybe now has a personal disorder because of whatever was happening in his life, whatever was happening damaged this person. And wait, I'm not gonna take your things, right? You are in a bad mood or whatever, you wanna transfer all these baggages or this energy inside my system. My system does not take negative energy. And if we really want to fix our society, we have to be honest enough with ourselves that the baggages are there, right? You cannot expect to meet somebody who's 30 years old, 20 years old, and doesn't have some type of trauma, some type of damage, right? But the matured ones are the ones who will go and work on them so that the negative things are not part of their personality, right? And I think that is the biggest problem in love relationships. I don't really like to talk about love relationships because, people become very personal around it. But if you are meeting your partner who is, okay, let's just say 20 years old, I want to make the number as low as possible so that we can understand even that a 20-year-old has things that they went through. They have traumas that they went through. And it shaped their frame of reference, something called a frame of reference. This is where they draw reference. Okay, this is where they draw their perception to say, okay, this is happening, how do I process it, right? But there's 20 years of trauma, 20 years of unresolved conflict, unresolved issues. It can be with their friends, with their parents, in their home, whatever, right? So you meet a person with all these things, and you are 21 years old or something like that. You are coming with your own traumas. You are coming with 21 years. 21 years of undealt issues. And then you guys meet, right? And some of the things start to manifest. Instead of you saying, okay, let's sit down and let's work on this and let's see if working on it helps us in any way, right? What you do is like, oh, this person has red flags. Red flags. You are manifesting your own things, right? The things that you call red flags, that person, because they're close to you, are able to pick up things that you don't see about yourself, right? And then you're gonna say, oh no, this person was bad for me, 1 2 1 2. No, that person was not bad for you. You are just stuck with 20 years of undealt issues. That person is stuck with 20 years of undealt issues. And when these issues come together, you have a situation, a huge problem. But like I said, we sit down, we work on each other. He goes to see a professional, I go to see a professional, or we get to engage into what's these things, trainings or workshops or whatever that helps us be honest enough with ourselves where we can be vulnerable, and it's okay to be vulnerable. And then we deal with this 20 years of baggage. She deals with the 21 years of baggage. And yeah, we take it from there. When we empathize and start to see that, okay, this person sees things this way because this is how they grew up. I see things this way because this is how I grew up. Now we can be able to manage conflict better. You say, oh, I was in a toxic environment. But who created that environment? Who created that environment? Sorry. It cannot be one person. It can't just be one person. It can't just be this person is not good for me. What? You didn't deal with anything. You are not matured enough to know that there's inner work that needs to happen. You are waiting to find somebody who has no baggage. But even then, you still have baggage. You didn't deal with the baggage. So if that person doesn't have baggage and you have baggage, at some point your baggage is gonna stand in the way. So let us work on the inner work. It's not a matter of character. It's a matter of a lot of your past. Your past plays a whole lot. I'm not even going to talk about the past of your parents. I'm talking about you only. And there's still that. The history of your parents can play a huge role in you creating toxic environments. Let us be able to create healthy environments. Healthy. This will not take one person. If you find yourself in a situation where the environment is not healthy, you can still be professional enough to be professional and not be dragged into people's issues, people's past, not being able to take people's negative energy. Your system has to be immune to negative energy. We are building positive energy, and it's a momentum. The more you build, the faster it goes, and the faster it grows, the faster it goes. You're gonna have something that is big, that is fast. that crashes into anything that it comes across, right? Nothing will be able to stand in your way once you understand self and you understand that people are sick. We are sick. And until we acknowledge the fact that we are sick, we will not work on it. And this is, it's important to have health. When somebody gets cough or flu, they run to the doctor and get medicine. But if even your personality is sick, you need to heal it. You need to be able to take out all of the baggages that you ran across, whether it was your teacher in high school. I mean, you hear a person, here is how you see a damaged person. Oh, my teacher didn't think I'm gonna be successful. I'm successful now. I want to show him. You see, that's how you see that this person is damaged. Period. You are damaged, my guy. You need to be able to sit down and deal with that. Your teacher has nothing to do with where you are right now, right? So please, of course you can try and use that energy to fuel your dreams, but if you need negative energy to fuel you, then you also have a problem. You have to be able to be self-driven, whether negative or positive, because if you find yourself in an unhealthy environment, you're not going to be productive, because you want negative energy to be able to push you to your goals, or for you to be able to create goals. But you don't need negative energy. All right, so I just want to end it here. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you guys are okay. I hope you guys start to do the work. And yeah, until the next video, man. I'm not so big on subscribing, especially on this channel. That is why I didn't even add adverts. I'm allowed to add adverts and whatever. I'm not big on that. Well, I'll create a podcast. I'm thinking of creating a podcast where it's about the money. It's about, yeah. But whether you subscribe or not, as long as you heard what I had to say, as long as you took your time to listen, and you're going to begin to do the inward work, okay? So this was chapter 1, Collisions of Egos. It's your boy, Mr. R. It's the R, baby.